Hello and welcome to For Such a Time as This. My name is Lynn Donovan. I am the theologian in residence at St. Andrews in Picton. I have this orchid. Perhaps I should have brought it with me. But anyway, it's a glorious orchid. It's just fuchsia in color and it's about this high. And when it was first given to me, it had all of these beautiful blossoms on it. And the person who gave it to me, I said to her, look, I'm just gonna kill this thing. And she said, no, Lynn, just feed it 3 ice cubes every Friday. And sure enough, that's what I did. And for the better part of 4 months, that orchid was in perfect bloom. And then suddenly, almost just overnight, it began to look wilted. And within 3 weeks, all of those glorious blooms fell to the ground. I just kept giving it 3 ice cubes every Friday. And I waited and wondered about what its future would be. And then, lo and behold, what are we in now? End of June? End of April. One blossom after another showed up. And it looked as healthy and as ripe as it did on the day that it was gifted to me. Wow, how did that happen? And then, about a week ago, I noticed one of the blooms looking a little tired. And sure enough, here we are 10 days later, and half of the blooms have disappeared again. I think about that passage from Ecclesiastes. There's a season for everything. And at the same time, I think about how we, as products of Western culture, live a lot of our lives defying those seasons. We're not crazy about those seasons. To begin with, oh, the aging season. Ooh, let's see if we can turn back time. I know I've spent enough of my own time trying to do that. But also recognizing, particularly in the summer, that this whole season of blooming and blossoming shows up and it's like, wow, where does the power come from? It's not human driven. Yet so many initiatives, I think, in our world have been driven by the human species. And in this pandemic, we are seeing that some of those initiatives, as wondrous as we might have thought they were, have profound cracks in them. And so I'm paying attention to this orchid. And it's giving me access to another understanding of power and grace. And it's a power and a grace that is so completely not dependent on me, give or take a few ice cubes. And it is inviting me to consider what it means to trust these natural seasons, these natural rhythms, and what it might mean to trust that this pandemic season may come with its own invitation to trust forces, graces, intention that are much deeper than we could ever have imagined. And so I'll leave you with that image. I think it is an easier image to have a conversation with while we are in the middle of this growing season. And like I say, from here I can see the community garden and it's going wild. All right, a bit of water, I get it. I wonder how you can embrace that invitation to trust. To trust that even during your own seasons of growing and birthing and blooming and then wilting and retreating and withdrawing and wondering if you will ever act out of that deep life force Again, I wonder if you can trust that we too are incarnations of that same waxing and waning, that same cycle of seasons, death and rebirth, rest and then rejuvenation, fear and then courage. I think there's hope in leaning into those seasons. I think there are deep lessons to be learned, not just personally, but as a culture and as a planetary community. I'd be curious to hear from you how you're experiencing those seasons anew in your own life. Be well, good friends. Be well in the waxing and the waning, like the moon. Be well in the rising and the setting, like the sun. Be well in the blooming and the fading, like the orchid. For in every season, we are held in the mystery that we call God.